Hello, welcome back to our amazing program. This is LITTalks episode 5, and we are really excited to have someone so special that's with us. We have known them for how long now?
How long have I think it's been close to a year, or
Wow,
maybe I'm wrong.
unbelievable.
She'll be able to tell us more. We're super excited to have Yasmin here with us. We're gonna bring her on live.
Hi,
And hey, Yasmin, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here and excited. And thank you, Rabbi Jack and Shira, for giving me this opportunity and for everyone who's here
It's
and
a
listening.
Thank you,
Sorry?
thank you.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you for
much.
willing to come on this show and tell everyone your personal story. When I heard your story, I was literally tearing, and I was like, wow, you're so inspiring, you're so amazing. I really need to get you on this show to be able to inspire others and tell your story. You have a lot of passion, you
Thank
have a lot
you.
of qualities that I would really love you to share, everything with everyone. So
That's
we'll let you take it away.
Please.
Yeah, so let's say how we met. Actually, we met 6 months ago, not a year, but it
Six
feels like
months.
more.
6, you see, wow, that's
Wow.
short.
Feels like a year, especially with
Yeah,
COVID.
it
Yeah,
feels
exactly. The
even.
quarantine.
Yeah, that's so true. So yeah, I relocated to LA on January, and um, then right away to Pico Robinson area. Now I live on Sherborne, and a friend, and I met someone that I met through someone on an event there on Pico, and we talked, and I told her, like, I asked her, do you know anyone who's doing like Shabbat dinners, or is some young people who are, who invites for Friday nights or having like lectures or anything like that. And she gave me your number, and you texted me like 2 days after. I remember, even in Hebrew, and I was like, yay. And then we met, and I remember the same day when we met, I went to Taco Tuesday, and it
Oh,
was
Oh,
wow.
that's
amazing.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember after that Taco Tuesday, after Rabbi's Jack lecture, I felt like I arrived finally home, because it was very authentic, and I loved the lecture, and that everyone is like coming from a different religion experience, and food and drinks, and it was so fun, and I loved it. It was very authentic and real, and oh, I miss these Taco Tuesday, but now we have them online, so it's also good.
Yeah. It's not, we
It's never
really
the
miss the
same.
in-person experience, that's for sure. It's not the same, but at least we have the, online platforms so we can really get to see everyone, right?
And
Yeah,
we're glad that you're there. So
thank you.
It's the best.
I always found that as soon as you got involved with us, you always had like something really wise to say, like a wise input. That was
You.
something unique that you had. So it's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone is like so wise in your community. I feel like everyone has like the right questions to ask or the right answers to say. It's just wow. Everyone is so clever and wise and deep in the community, which I really appreciate. Like, and I think that's why it's
That's
also so
amazing.
important
Yeah,
to be connected to a community like Ashlet, and and to remember its roots.
for
That's
sure.
amazing. Wow. Well, thank you for being part of the community. That's first. It's our honor. And you know what? Let's go to your story. So if you would want to maybe start with how did it all start? Maybe let's go to like really the beginning. Where are your parents from? Where did they
So
meet? How did they meet and all that?
yeah, before I'm starting, I just want to say to everyone who is here, if you have any questions or something to write, please leave a comment. Maybe I can answer, because
Yes.
We'll throw
yeah.
up those comments in a minute because I see that there's been quite a bit
Yeah, when we see
already.
comments, we're gonna bring it up and we'll let you know. Even
Okay.
right now, if you want to say a few, just before she even
Yeah, for
starts.
sure. Here you go,
Have I want
Lisa.
to ask something about my, I don't know, because it's going to be a long story.
Right, they're here with us. They're waiting. Here, Lisa wrote your name, and Becky,
Thank
Hello,
you.
go
Lisa.
Yasmin, and Natasha. That's great.
And of course, this guy.
Of course, this special guy, Harrison.
So, yeah,
And
Will you be telling us about yourself? about Harrison too at some point?
Sorry?
Will you be telling us about Harrison at all in this?
Yeah, if you want.
She will
Yeah,
probably
fine.
mention.
I
Of
love
course.
him.
Yeah,
He's
Harrison
an
is my fiance. We moved together. He's from LA, basically, so he's the reason why I came here.
right. That's
So
right. And we have yeah. Okay, so
Daniel.
let's go to your
Yes.
story. I see Daniel Moyal say also here it's on the screen. It was on the screen.
But let's get to the story. It's
But
gonna
let's
be.
exactly. Let's get started.
We'll
Okay,
get back
so
to the comments soon.
yeah, I was born in New York to parents who come from completely different backgrounds, different languages, religion. My father comes from a very Sephardic Israel traditional family, and my mother comes from a German typical secular family, non-Jewish. And they met in New York. They went to the Lee Strasberg School, which is a very famous school for actors. And they were in the film industry, and then I was born. And they divorced when I was 3 years old. And I moved with my mother to Germany, to her German country, Bavaria. And that's when I remember my life, basically. I grew up in a very non-Jewish German environment.
Were
Back
they
then,
religious at all? Your mother's family, Christian
so
religious, or
no, very secular, non-religious. I went to a Waldorf school, which is an alternative artsy German school. We had religion class about Catholicism and Christianity, but not about Judaism. So I was never taught about
Right.
Judaism in Germany. Of course, we celebrated all the holidays. Like every Christmas, I used to play on the piano and play the Christmas songs. And we
Jingle
had
bells?
like all these songs, And we had a very, very small family. There was my mother, her, and my stepfather. Two brothers came to added to the family with the years, and that's about it. Actually, there was not more than that. And yeah, this was I had a lot of energy, meaning like I like to run away, like run around and climb on trees, on roofs. But with the time, my self-confidence became very low, especially in school. It started because I felt also that I was picked on because of the way I look. I don't look like the German
What is that?
typical.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to tell us about that? Like, why did you feel different?
I felt different not only because of my look, also I think because of my character. From very young age, I never had this typical German character, which is very strict. It was mixed, and in Germany, especially in the school, when you learn, the teacher doesn't really get involved into you, and the problem was it's not okay to be wrong. And I remember I was always scared to speak up, because if you are wrong and you don't answer the question, you get bullied, and people would make fun of you. And it wasn't only in school; this was also outside of school. And I also had ADD and had a hard time to concentrate in class. And I always felt like alone, sort of, because I didn't get the help that I needed. And so my self
Welcome
confidence
to the
became
club.
lower and lower. Sorry?
I said, welcome to the club.
Do you also like me?
Yeah.
ADD. I've never been
Everyone.
diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of having it, because it's just special, I think. And yeah, so this was my experience in school. Also, like from the religion aspect, from the Christianity aspect, was also sometimes a little bit weird. We had those theater performances every holiday, and about Jesus and stuff. And sometimes I would need to play with or watch. In the beginning, I didn't like. For me, it was normal. But then my father, who I was very attached and connected to, always told me, like, the Jewish people don't believe in Jesus or in Christianity. And then I started to ask myself question, like, why like it was sometimes hard for me to watch the play that we had every year, or be in the play. And people didn't understand, like, why don't you watch it, or why do you cover your eye? Like, sometimes I would cover my eyes because they would go with the full costume, and and I was never taught about Judaism. It just felt wrong. I don't know why, and probably also because my father always told me, he was always on the phone there, and he was always like I was a daddy's girl, so I always felt he was with me, even though I lived in a different country, and it probably helped me also to feel more connected to his side, and yeah, this was basically my German experiences.
Right. So how first of all, I mean, were you mentioning that you were in touch with your dad throughout the years? So did you ever get to see him? Did you go to Israel at all?
Yeah, I went
How
actually.
was life like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so I lucky me had the opportunity to see my father and my Israeli family once or twice a year. I would go fly, and I remember before I would write on my calendar that we used to hang in the living room with huge letters Israel. I would wait for that opportunity all the time. I would count all my classes and seasons and months. I would really count them because I wanted to go to Israel. It was my big thing. I would tell the whole neighborhood about it. And every time I arrived to Israel,
Did anyone? Yeah, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I'm just wondering, did anyone ever mention to you anything about like anti-Israel or like telling you that you're Jewish at all, or not really?
no, in school I was picked on just because I wasn't like them and I looked different. I never was taught about Judaism. I didn't even know about the Holocaust, which is crazy, like when I was young.
Wow. So
And
you think like you grew up not knowing anything about the Holocaust and that it happened and
anything. The first experience with me
Wow.
and Judaism was Israel.
Is it?
Israel. Sorry, yeah.
Oh no. I was just wondering, is it not part of the curriculum in any way, or
no, I
in
guess
German?
not.
In Germany?
No, they teach it, but probably in school later on. And I left Germany when I was after 5th grade, so they teach it, I think, in 6th grade or 7th grade. So yeah, every time arriving to Israel was for me like I used to see there my family, and they treated me, of course, like a pearl because I'm coming from a different country and they haven't seen me for a while. But it was just to experience this warmthness and made me so happy, and my self-confidence became from 0 to 1,000. Like it was like jumping, and I don't know how to explain that experience when you arrive to Israel. It's only 4 hours flights from Germany to Israel, but for me it was just arriving to a new different world. The smell of Israel, I got butterflies every time I landed on Israel, literally butterflies, my whole body. I used to listen to the Hebrew sounds. Like I love the Hebrew sound to, like, you know what I mean? When you hear people talking in Hebrew and shouting and this and that, I love that. And and it was like new for me and something that I would experience only once a year. And then my family is traditional. They didn't keep Shabbat, but we celebrated Shabbat. And this was the highlight of my trip, to go to have a special dress for Shabbat, to light the candles with my grandma. Like she even put something on my head, even though it's only for married women, but she didn't know. So we had like tons of people over. Like the table was big, and the salads and the food and the singing and the laughter. It was something that I was waiting for it so badly that I had even a hard time to explain my friends or family in Germany about it. And I actually never could talk about it because they didn't get me. So it felt like this was my own secret experience in Germany that no one knew about. Which sometimes when
So before you went to Israel, you knew about Shabbat, or when you were in Germany all that time growing up, did you know about Shabbat, or only when you went to Israel?
Yeah, so every time I used to fly to Israel, which was once or twice a year, and we used to have like a Shabbat dinner, and this was for me like Judaism, Friday night, and the way that the story that the family is in the center, and this is what we have, like something to wait for it, like Shabbat. and we have to build a family and be all together. This is something that I never learned or seen in Germany. For example, in my school in Germany, there was only one boy whose parents were not divorced. Everyone was coming from broken families. I didn't even know what a normal family looks like. I only saw it in Israel. It's just they don't.
Growing up myself, I mean, I don't know if you, but I didn't have one friend of mine growing up in school.
Me neither.
Not one. We were
Wow.
50 kids in the class.
Yeah, we were 40 kids also.
Came from a divorced home. You know,
Yeah.
also? Not
I
one.
never knew anyone, I mean, at least in the circles that I was and in my classes, of that, you know, a girl in my class or someone that came from a divorced home at that point. Yeah.
It's not that there isn't divorces in our community, but it's rare. And it's and some people say it's because by your community it's taboo to get divorced. Like if you get divorced, you're frowned upon and so on. But it's actually not true. I know some people, first of all, it's a mitzvah. It's a commandment in the Torah. It's one of the mitzvot in the Torah to get divorced.
What?
If it's obviously the right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's necessary. If it's necessary.
If it's absolutely necessary, then it's necessary.
The katavla, obviously we don't encourage it, but the katavla sefer kritut, you should write a document. So it's not like we frown upon it in a way that we don't agree with it. It's a real concept. And I know somebody who's very close to us that made a celebration when they actually got the divorce, because they knew that that's it, I'm done with this. And they made a big feast and a huge celebration.
And they could move on to the next stage.
And they can move on.
So yeah, obviously we don't encourage it, but when it's the right thing to do for the person and they're suffering in their own marriage and relationship, then it's not.
But in our community, it was rare to see a kid in our community that came from a divorced home. So interesting.
Yeah. I think what's special about Judaism is that the Torah, one of the first things is teaching how to build a family, how to treat a woman or a man, like how to, you know, everything about relationship is like the first things you learn almost. And
so true.
I think that the non-Jewish world don't even have it. They don't even think about it, of studying how to build a healthy family. They think like, you know, if it works, it works. If not, then not. And this is the sad truth. And they don't have this, like in Germany, I always felt that there's no, the center of that the families in the center, they don't even know about it. Like all the families I know in Germany, they were super small. There was always like a mother, a few siblings, and that's it. If it's more than a mother, like uncles or whatever, they're not even in the picture. And
wow, that's so different.
Yeah, it's very different. And
so right. Yeah, I'll let you go on.
No, I'm just saying that I used to appreciate this so much, what I experienced in Israel, that I used to always wish for myself to live there. Every birthday when I blow out the candles, it was always the same wish. And I also learned generally in life how important it is to recognize someone. We have always busy, of course, with work and everything. But we have to pay attention to our surroundings because we want to be seen. Everyone wants to be seen. And I think this was a problem in Germany, that didn't feel that someone saw me. Also in school, also outside of school. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. What did you want to say?
Yeah, no, I was wondering, you know, since you said obviously that almost every summer or every year you would go to Israel, see your Israeli family, get the warmth, the Israeli warmth there. So how was it like as a child to go back to Germany after, you know, like having that high and then going low, you know, how did you manage that? How did you, I would say, how did you not feel alone, or you did, you know, what helped you during that time?
Yeah. So most of the people wouldn't even think that it would be a hard process, but actually it was a really hard process for me. I feel like my life back then was back to routine, shifting all the time. And why was it really hard for me? Because I felt that once I arrived back to Germany, everything was, and my self-confidence became again low, and I felt the sadness that I used to cry before the flight in Israel, a day before, and when I arrived. Like, used to really be down and be in my room, lock my room for a few days. It took me always a whole week to get back to routine in Germany. And it was for me not easy also to explain why. And people just accepted it, that this is how I am. And my father always taught me, talk to Hashem, he's there. And, talk with him with your own word, with your own language. And that's what I actually used to do. I used to, from a very young age, always talk to him, and always felt that I have a friend next to me that no one could see, only me. And I'm like lucky to have him. And I felt him, and I felt even answering my questions. I can give you a simple example. We had a competition in a sport class, and I really wanted to win. And I remember the whole competition, I was talking to him, please let me win, and I won. I don't know if it's because of
Wow.
talking to him, but it felt like, he's really there, he's answering me. And I always felt like then whenever I had a hard time, or I was sad, or felt alone, I could talk to him, or just wrote him a letter in my own words. And I'm doing this still today, and it really helps me feel, it's like emunah. When you have emunah, it's what everyone
Yeah.
is saying. Then you feel that everything will be fine. And this is how I
Yeah.
build my emunah, by talking with him.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's like incredible.
Such a deep level of
Listening to
faith.
as a child, a child that didn't grow up with that necessarily, but you always had that magnet, like to the connection with Hashem, to the connection with Israel.
yeah, a funny story is one of my flights back to Germany. I was, I think, 7 years old, and I didn't want to go back. I was on a flight, and I yelled at the stewardess in Hebrew on purpose so she won't understand me, because she was German. And take me out of here, I don't want to be here. Made a huge chaos so they won't let me stay in the plane. It was like a child manipulation. And they didn't let me in. They didn't want me. They took me off the plane, and it worked.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, but then I needed to go back to Germany with my aunt. She took me. But I was from a very young age, I had a big love to Israel. It's like, I feel like Israel and me are in a relationship. Sometimes it's distance relationship, sometimes it's a normal, you know what I mean? It's just, my love to Israel is always there. So,
Wow, that's just so inspiring. This is amazing. Yeah, I mean, so what happened after? I mean, I guess you've had those years that you've been, going back and forth, until what age you did it, and then what happened then? I mean, what was the
yeah.
change?
So in one of my visits to Israel, I told my mother that I want to stay in Israel, and I did it all the time. But at this time, I didn't believe that she would actually consider it. And I was almost 12 years old, and she said, okay, if you're there happier, then I can't say no. And of course, it was not easy for me to leave my mother, and for her also not. But Hashem answered my my prayers again. And then all of a sudden I came to Israel. I didn't know anything about the religion, because my father and my grandparents, they are not religious. My father became religious actually with the years. So when I moved, I went to a normal girls' school, and I learned there that I'm actually not Jewish, so I decided to convert. And my father also in the beginning said, you don't have to, because you should never tell someone, like, you should always have this from your own will when you convert. And it was really my own will. I went to Jerusalem. It was very tough. It was not easy, but I had a very special experience. I was in a dorm, and there I learned to write in Hebrew. And I remember it took me hours to write one page. It was so hard, because it's from the other direction. And I knew to speak a little bit. Of course, I had like grammatic, like I didn't talk correctly grammatically, errors, but everyone could understand me. And then I learned how to say Birkat Hamazon, and it took me hours. I remember I was sweating till I finished it, because it was hard for me to read it, and I didn't give up. And now I know it of course, fluently because I read it so many times. But it was an interesting experience just to see a new world. And, you know, the teachers there would, of course, they have a special relationship with the students. It's not like I had in Germany where the teacher is doing his job, is giving a class, and is going home. All of a sudden, it's totally different. They give you a private number, come for Shabbat, you need anything. It was like totally new world and so much love and warmth. And it was really nice. I had so many lectures about Judaism, and I learned a lot in this dorm. And yeah, this one, all of a sudden I'm in Israel, and my mother also didn't understand like what happened to me all of a sudden. At the beginning, she didn't accept me the way I lived, of course, and it was hard for her. But with the years, she accepted it, and she even appreciated it. And today, she really loves the way I live, and she loves Judaism, and she loves Israel. Also, my brothers. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So where do your brothers live?
My so I have two. One is living in Holland. He's studying there, and he's so Jewish in his head. This is unbelievable. He actually introduced me to Ben Shapiro. I never knew about him, and he's watching him every day.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
That's such a small world, you know.
Yeah, and he's like my brother. Is not even Jewish. Never lived in a Jewish life, and he loves Ben Shapiro and Judaism. It's crazy.
So
I'm bringing
cool.
him to Judaism somehow. And yeah, so when I was at age 18, I needed to go back to Germany. And my mom also moved out of Germany, and I didn't have any family there. So basically, I lived there by my own one-room apartment, and needed to make somehow friends, needed to make somehow connections. And of course, I didn't know anything because I was always in Israel before. It was for me, again, a new chapter, a new life. I felt like, what's going on here? I wasn't here for a long time, so I didn't even know that there's a Jewish community that exists out of Israel. I didn't know that there are Jewish communities because I only knew Israel.
So you went from Israel back to Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was 18.
Oh, when you were 18?
Yeah. And I got lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anyone there. I felt like I'm like my roots. I forgot my roots. I forgot who I am. I was totally, I felt like I need to find my own inner truth and to experience it by my own without someone being around me. And then it took me a time till I found a Jewish community because there are only like 9,000 Jews in Munich, and the population is very small, and the community, all of them, they're not even German, they're Russian. So it's also a funny thing. And then once I found the Jewish community in Germany, everything came back, and I felt like I arrived to a safe place. I'm not alone anymore. And it really helped me to reconnect and to appreciate how important it is to be with someone who can remind you of your background, of your roots, to not get lost. Because it's very easy to get lost if you don't have someone around you who can remind you of it. And there I learned the importance of being around Jewish communities, because otherwise I would get lost. And yeah, so that was a long time ago. Then I traveled around many countries, searched for my inner truthness, moved to New York, lived there for a year, and also there it was really hard time because New York is not an easy city to live in.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But
especially in the winter.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And I came in the winter. And
Oh wow. Nice welcome.
Yeah, and somehow Hashem put me in a Chabadnik 770 street. Randomly.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Random.
I didn't even know 770.
Do you remember around what number? Because I have a brother that lives there.
Oh, really?
Actually gonna...
I won't say it publicly, but maybe we'll ask after.
Yeah,
That'd be
well,
so funny. Imagine you were his neighbor or something.
that would be
Yeah.
cool if that was.
My brother's a
Wow.
Chabad rabbi.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he's
Nice.
amazing.
I like that
So
a lot.
you ended up in Crown Heights,
Yes,
for a year.
somehow I met this sweet my roommate, which became my roommate. I met her in a bar with people that I just met, because also in New York I didn't know anyone. And she was like, "Yeah, we're looking for a roommate," and I was like, "Great, I'm looking for also for an apartment." And then I moved into a random girls' apartment, super sweet. They were Chabadnik, two of them, right next to 770. I never knew about Chabad actually. Never knew
Oh
about
wow.
770. And it was a new experience, and I loved it. I had a hard time in New York, of course, and then eventually I moved back to Israel because New York was too tough for me. But
Wow.
yeah, I felt like from all these up and downs and from shifting to a country, from a country to another country, I felt like talking to Hashem in your own words, or just writing a letter to just put everything out. You know, sometimes we have something heavy on our shoulders and our mind, and we need someone to take everything out. Just
Right.
write a letter and then put it away, because no one sees it. It's only between you and Hashem, like God. And I would write it in Germany when I was in Israel, and when I was in Israel, I would write it. No, when I was in Germany, I would write it in Hebrew, so no one could understand. But
Wow. It reminds me of I don't know if were you there in the class that I spoke about on prayer? Because I did give a class once on prayer. It's on YouTube. People can find
oh
it
yeah,
there. And just the process of prayer and how, sometimes the answer is no. And then, there's just different processes in the actual prayer, but your prayers are always answered. That was the general theme of that talk,
yeah,
and it was really powerful. So it is always answered.
yeah. It is true. And also, if he doesn't answer, maybe it's not good for you. We also, when we ask for something, we have to ask,
Right.
like, answer me, but only if it's good. If it's good to me, because we can ask something that would hurt us actually.
Of
Right.
course.
That's exactly what I wanted to add. So it's great that you actually did. Some people may say, "Well, what do you mean? My prayers are not always answered. Like, I don't get all what I want." So that's not the point. The point is it's answered, but sometimes it's like parents. We don't always say yes to our kids. It depends if it's good for them. So the
Yeah,
same with Hashem. He will, our Father, our Creator. We will get, and we also. It's important to say, if it's good for me, please give it to me. Or if it's good for me, I want to succeed in this and this and this. Or if it's good for me, I want this relationship to work out. So that way, we kind of going in the right direction and getting the answers we need, not just the
yeah,
answers we want.
yeah,
That's the whole point, is that there's a back and forth within myself saying, okay, this is not for me, so I'll wait, I'll try, maybe because it's bad for me, so I need to ask for things that are good for me. And then you work to becoming a really good person. So prayer is actually a very transformative experience into placing yourself into a new realm, so that you can actually receive that infinite blessing. We understand that God has no limit and he can give us anything. And part of that no limit is that he doesn't want to hurt me. So I need to transform myself into a new being, so to speak, so that I can actually receive that good. If I'm a broken vessel, then I can't receive the good. A broken cup can't receive its water. So I got to
right.
first fix the cup. And if I want that prayer to be answered, maybe I need to really rethink where I am holding and what do I want it for? And is it really good for me? And then over time, you just become a really good person through it. Prayer is a transformative experience, and it's an amazing thing. It's really for me. God doesn't need my prayer. He doesn't need anything I do for him. It's really for me to go through that thought process and growth, and to come to a place where that good can actually come into my hands.
Yeah, I agree.
That's so beautiful.
Like, it builds a stronger connection the more we talk, or to him.
Of course.
Right. It's the investment in the relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So you said that after New York, after that chapter, you moved back to Israel. So what did you do then? You kind of probably, did you go back to the family? Did you decide to study, or what did you do when you got there?
Yeah, I decided to study, and
Mm.
so basically I'm doing two things. Started with the architecture and interior design because I always wanted. I actually originally always wanted to do life coaching, be a life coach. And at the time, they told me that I'm too
Wow.
young to study it, so I needed to study something else in the meantime. So I did architecture and interior design, which is also very fun. And but it was for me too chomri. How do you say that? Materialistic. I wanted,
Materialistic? Yeah.
yeah, like because it's the material world, which is fun. But I needed something more than that. And then I went to a CTI, which is an American, like it's originated from LA, which is now recognized all over,
Right.
and I'm soon a certified life coach in 1 month,
Oh
and
Wow.
wow.
That's
I'm very,
beautiful.
yeah. What encouraged me to go to that direction is I think generally I think one of our main goals in life is to find and spread our uniqueness, find what our uniqueness is and spread it and give it, because I think there should always be a give and take. And once you know what you have that you can give to others, do it and go for it. And I always felt like I want to help others through my experiences, because I felt like that I had many ups and downs, and I felt like always I need to help others who had similar experience or have any sabotages or just need someone to talk with. And I love talking. I'm talking here nonstop. No,
Me too.
It's
but
mutual.
but it's yeah. I think it gives me also a lot when I know that I can help someone. And
Right.
um, yeah, so there should always be a give and take. I think once we in the pursuit of
Sure.
finding your true
It's
uniqueness.
I think it's important. It's important to find the the profession as something that you're not only focusing on,
The making of the money.
obviously you want to make money and you want to be comfortable and all that, because it's important. We need to take care of our life and be independent, but also you wanted something that would give you meaning, something that you feel good, that you can help people, that you can
Yeah,
even help from your own experiences, because
yeah,
you're the best. If they're struggling with something and you can relate it to your own story,
Hmm.
it's super powerful.
Yes.
yeah. Like Rabbi Jack and Shira, you spread so much.
We
Wow,
try.
this is
We
incredible.
try. We love people, that's for sure.
Yeah,
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 I think one of the biggest thing that I always say, that I feel, we're lucky, is that yeah, we have a job that we literally we love people, and we get to, well, unfortunately now not face to face now, but virtually as well, see people, be able to help, impact, just be there, be a family. It's things that I always was dreaming of having or doing. I never imagined I would be able to. So Hashem definitely put us here, or anywhere else
yeah,
we've been on the globe.
It's a gift.
yeah.
It really is.
We have to really accept challenges. I also had a time with my own experiences to accept any challenge, because when I moved back to Germany or when I moved back to Israel, like all these changes, I always went into a deep down inner self, and I learned through it to embrace any challenge and with a big warm heart, because they only shape us and make us stronger for the next one. And
Powerful.
even yeah, even here, when coming here to LA, I didn't have fun in the beginning. I had a hard time to leave my friends and family was not easy
Yeah.
for me, even though I moved around, but it was tough. And then I said, you know what, embrace it, love it. And then I met you and all these beautiful people from Ashland, and now I love it here.
That's
So
so amazing. Wow. My next question was to you is, so based on your experiences, and I see that you appreciate and you recognize the need, and the importance for a Jewish community. So what do you think, how do you think or not how important do you think it is to be connected to a Jewish community, to be involved, to be part of something, to feel part of a family, something like, having a shlit anywhere?
yeah, So
You
first of all,
yeah.
my experience with the Jewish communities, especially with Eshlet, I think first of all, my experience with it is, as I said, I don't feel alone. It makes me feel belong to someone, something very big. And what's special is you will meet always people who come from different places and different backgrounds, and you all come together in order to remind yourself why you're Jewish and does it mean to be Jewish, and to appreciate it and to feel lucky, because we need guidance all the time. If we don't have a guidance, we get lost. And this is what happened with me back then when I moved back from Israel to Germany. I was lost, and we not only that we need guidance, we always can learn something new to make us a better person. And with Jewish communities, we always have these beautiful lectures and meetups and all these nice experiences that you don't have normally, because we are busy with work. We don't even think about it. We don't even think about opening a normal YouTube lecture of a rabbi, because it's not even on our mind. And when you come into the Jewish community, you feel how much actually it is important to listen to something like that. And it's just really.
But the real joy is of spirituality is how you feel afterwards. During the time, so you can choose. There's a big party going on somewhere else, and you could go there, but you decide to join a community event which has Jewish community, and there's some learning involved, and it's different. But at the time you may feel, okay, I'm losing out, there's this great party going on, but it's not about the time that you're doing it, it's about how you would feel afterwards. And what we understand is that, hey, investing in your life and learning about life, not only for college and not only for my successful business, but investing in my life outside of that, in terms of taking my free night and going to learn about Judaism, or taking my free time to go on YouTube to listen to a lecture instead of listening to another video about another thing. So, when you actually, so at the time, you don't feel like you're gaining. You're like, okay, actually, I'm losing out. But it's not about then. It's always about how you feel afterwards. And that's something which I've been teaching so much, and we teach, is that happiness is something that you feel afterwards, not at the time. If you want to know the difference between something that makes you happy and doesn't, it's how you will feel after it. How much power it will give you, how much energy it gives you, how much horsepower it will give you for the next day. That's what Rav Noach used to say. How does it keep you going? And there's no question about it. Investing in your life means, investing in Judaism means I put myself in a position where I go and I live in a place where there's a Jewish community. It's a bit more expensive. It's an investment. I invest my time. Instead of spending another night just watching another movie, I'll go and actually do something real.
Join a Zoom
class or something. So that's an investment.
Yeah.
It's constantly an investment, but the return is given to you afterwards.
Huge, yeah.
And it's so important. We've got to face life realistically. And the way to face life is not in a movie. It's by facing life. It's turn off the movie and be in the real world. The movies actually make the world seem sometimes a much more dangerous place. There's horror and stuff. So just turn all of that off and just face reality. Spend another night learning with someone or speak to someone. There's so many different organizations, and the community's there, ready. And the Jewish world needs to come in and just take and embrace what they've got, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Yeah, nothing to add. It's
even in Germany,
definitely... yeah,
you can find a Jewish community there. It's
everywhere.
amazing.
I guess everywhere in the world.
Everywhere.
Whether you go to India or South America, or I guess anywhere, you'll have Jewish people.
Or the moon, you'll get bad.
On the moon. Well, that should be maybe the next project.
Amen.
Well,
I'll
ask, another question that comes up to my mind, obviously, and I would like you to share that with others. So what made you want to come to LA? Why did you leave Israel? Why did you come here?
So basically, I met Harrison. That's actually because of Harrison, as I said in the beginning. But we met. Harrison is my fiance, who I met at work in Israel, who is actually from LA. and he also comes from a very secular Jewish family. He didn't know anything about, like, he had a bar mitzvah, but he didn't know more than that, like most of the Jews here in America. And he came to Israel. He learned, of course, the depth of it, and experienced Friday nights. He loved it, and we met, and and now he wanted to move back to the US, and I said, okay, if this is my next challenge that I have to embrace, then this is what it is. I didn't want to, but I'm now thankful that I'm here.
That's amazing. Well, that led you to meet the community.
Yeah.
and to be here.
Exactly. We always have to embrace challenges, and even though we think it's gonna, I thought in the beginning it will be like, before I met Harrison, I always told myself, America is not gonna be good for me. It's not the country for me, etc., etc. And sometimes we just put for ourselves saboteurs or boundary, like fences that are wrong, because we have a high imagination. And if we, as I said, just jump into the cold water and say everything will be good because Hashem is with me, God is with me, then everything will be good. And that's true.
Beautiful. That is so true. I mean, that is just straight from what you said. It's pure, no editing, no need to add anything anymore on top of that. I just love it. I see we have some comments here before we wrap up, and thank you and everyone else that joined tonight. That was absolutely inspiring, and I'm so glad you came on and you were willing to share your story and talk about it.
So here we have Jonathan. It's a big club.
Who else?
Talk about the lit community.
It could be something that we were mentioning during. I don't know.
Danielle says, "Go Bayern." He likes soccer too, I guess. It's football, right? Soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know about that because.
Let's see what Harrison. Okay, so Harrison asked. So that was before we asked you, why did you leave Israel?
And then, of course, it's so beautiful.
So you see that. That's nice. Here, Natasha said, we're so happy you are here in LA. I second that.
I agree.
I definitely agree. We're so lucky to have you in our community. And Sarit, who else?
The ad club.
The ad club. And Sarit, beautiful words and story. Yeah, gorgeous eyebrows. Well, you got a lot of compliments tonight. Compliments that you deserve. We admire you. You have so much emunah, and I see that Becky wrote, what a beautiful story. I admire you, emunah, so much.
I do too. It's amazing. It really is.
It's beautiful, and there's so much to learn from you. So much to learn from you.
I want a big thank you for everyone who came here to listen and take from their private time to be here. A big, big thank you. And also for Rabbi Jack and Shira for giving so much love and for giving me this opportunity.
Of course.
And I hope that we can finally, when it's over, to meet again, because I really
Amen. With besmachot, bוא נגיד, רק besmachot. And Shiran says, so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. And she's tuning in from the East Coast, so by her it's really late. And Jonathan, amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing. Look, so much love you get from the community. We all love you. We're excited that you're here. And
anyone else, if you have a story that you want to share,
yes,
it doesn't have to be that you lived in Germany for half your life, but if you do have a story, please tell us, reach out, and we will hopefully put you on the show. So
you can share your story.
Share your story.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, thank you again. We'll say Shabbat Shalom. It's Thursday night, so Shabbat is coming. We're excited. The smell of the challah is coming from the kitchen and all the food that I made today. So it's a good smell to have on Thursday night.
And guys, we're going to post up after this about our show that's going to be on tomorrow with Project Inspire. Thousands of people are going to be watching it all over the world. And we happen to be featured on it this week. So we'll be sending out the flyer for that. on our page.
Yes,
I'm
and
very
you're
excited.
welcome to join. It's gonna be 2:30 LA time, right?
Yep.
2:30, and yeah, should be really fun. So lots of exciting things. Thank you all so much, and thank you so much, Yasmin. Again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Um,
Bye, everyone. We love you all and miss you.